you by our stable of sponsors.
Kira, good morning. Welcome to Weigh-In if you're watching it on a Monday morning here in New Zealand and to our friends offshore. We hope you are looking forward to finding out more about the racing weekend here in New Zealand. Emily Boston is not with us today. She's having a well-deserved day off. Matt Cross is here. Matt, good morning. Welcome to Weigh-In.
Morning, Michael. Morning to everybody at home. It's been a while since I've been up here in the studios at Auckland, but it's nice to do something different. Big week at Riccarton Park with the first synthetic meeting during the week as well, which went well, although the numbers were low, so there's something to build on there. And then the racing on Saturday was good as well. But the racing across Australasia was excellent. Looking forward to delving into that on the show.
What was it like commentating a synthetic meeting, obviously with the track inside the main track, compared with commentating on Saturday, which was on the turf?
The only real difference is they're a little bit further away when they come up the straight. But what I would say, in a sense, it is probably easier, and I've spoken to you about this off camera, is that you've got a white background basically to see the colours on, which is totally different to a green background. So in that sense, it's a little bit easier, up the straight a wee bit further away and probably more strung out. And what I did notice is how much a race could change within 100 metres as well. So there's a lot to learn. I'm sure that between myself, everybody involved, jockeys, horses, trainers, will all take a little bit to acclimatise, but I think all things being equal, it's a good positive to have our second synthetic track up and running.
Yeah, congratulations to the connections of Eulogy Show, who actually dates back to show date as its fourth dam, the winner of the first race on the synthetic there out of Riccarton on a historic day. We're going to bounce all around New Zealand, Australasia and later on to Kentucky for the fairy tale which was the Derby, but the feature race for the 2-year-olds here at Te Rapa, one of our major domestic meetings on Saturday, was taken out by a rarity. This is the Waikato Equine Veterinary Centre Stakes, and not often you see Te Akau 2-year-olds settling near last and still being too good. Here is one of those. His name is Lord Cosmos.
And behind these is enraptured at the 100 metres, coming back Mazzolino. Now Lord Cosmos on the outside is starting to power home for Sam Weatherly, and Lord Cosmos got up, comfortable win in the end. Second over was Mazzolino.
Obviously a smart horse. He's only had the one miss, and that was from a wide barrier draw in the Karaka Million. Mark Walker, his trainer, was not on track. He was in Australia, on the Gold Coast. We'll get Mark's thoughts on Lord Cosmos and the Australian team. Mark, welcome home. Good morning. You've got a pretty nice 2-year-old there in Lord Cosmos, but he's very un-Te Akau. He's very much a horse who likes to find his feet before he gets warm.
Yeah, morning guys. No, it was a good effort on Saturday. At the 200, I probably didn't think he was going to get up. You know, it looked as though they'd got too much of a break on him, but he found the line really well.
Mark, it's Matt Cross here. Just looking at his sectionals on the clock, I know that it's over 1,200 metres, but he's by a Group 1 winner at 12, 13, 14, 15 and 1,600 in Piero. Is this the sort of horse that you might earmark, say, for a Guineas contender over the 1,600 in the spring, or what have you got planned for him?
We're going to pop him out for a spell, and then it's still relatively warm in the afternoon, so just try and get a bit of condition on him. And yeah, he's a definite chance of the Guineas, like a few of the others at the moment sort of thing. So just got to see how they come up in the spring, don't you? And, you know, it's quite a step up to the Guineas from Saturday, but he's definitely in the mix.
Mark, talking about Guineas races, you spent Saturday on the Gold Coast and you almost pulled one off with Sword of State. We're going to look at that replay now because he looked to be home at the 200 metre mark. Here's the Gold Coast Guineas. He's in the Cambridge stud colours of Brendan and Joe Lindsay. Outside him is Prince of Boom, and look, it was a ding-donger down the straight. Mark, you've been a touch unlucky here because he probably finds a length or two more on a drier track, and yet he still almost won.
Yeah, just really unfortunate with the weather, but full credit to Brendan and Joe and Henry for giving it a crack on the day. Like we didn't really know what to do, but they took it. You know, we're there now, and if we're going to run later in the carnival, we really had to run. So, listen, the horse was so brave. Opie said at the 200 he thought the other horse was just going to run away from him, but you know, he really dug deep and showed great determination right to the line. So, no, we were pretty pretty happy with the run. Just unfortunate we missed the bob of the head.
Mark, a Group 1 in Australia clearly would be worth a fortune to the horse because he's heading to Cambridge Stud in the spring to start his stud career. Is the Kingford Smith next up his chance of getting one of those?
Yeah, that looks to be the plan at this stage, down that path towards that race. So it doesn't get any easier though, does it? You're going to wait for age next time, and hopefully the weather dries out by then. But gee, they're meant to get it between 150 to 200 millimetres this week, so she's going to be another wet track this coming weekend anyway.
Mark, one of the horses we don't know that much about at Te Akau because it's not one of your glamour horses is Soprano Supreme. Almost pulled off the Gold Coast Cup on Saturday. It's, of course, in the tangerine colours on the inside. Loomed up, Mark. Look, the winner, beaten, ironically, by a Go Racing horse, so another New Zealand horse in the middle of the track. Pretty promising Australian debut, though.
Yeah, we're really thrilled with the run for Tuna and John Galvin and the team because, we took a bit of a punt going from a race on a Saturday at Rotorua. To have enough prize money in the bin and the racing high enough, but we've got a lot of time for this mare, and obviously that wasn't a listed race, so we picked that race out thinking we might get in, which we did. So we got some decent prize money out of it. So she'll go to the Premier's Cup at 2,400 metre Group 3 in 3 weeks' time, and I think she'd be better on an improved track as well. We're down in the worst of the ground on Saturday, so Kieran McAvoy was very complimentary about it.
Andre Vieira, your speed machine, had a whiz around the Gold Coast in between races on Saturday. Where is she at, Mark, for her next Australian race? She's been there, of course, a couple of times before. The Doomben 10,000 coming up this weekend.
Yeah, she's well on track, so she'll gallop at Doomben Breakfast with the Stars tomorrow, and then she doesn't have to do much after that. But obviously, you're going to be running probably 1,200 metres on a heavy track, so you've got to have them pretty rock hard fit. So, but we're really pleased with her, and obviously it'll be a good field though, won't it?
It will be. Hot favourite is going to be Marsu. Mark, how's life back in New Zealand? You're settling in well because the Group 1 results are settling in well. How are you enjoying being back home?
Oh, no, loving being back in New Zealand amongst family and friends, and really looking forward to next season. We've got a lot of, untapped potential in the stable, and, there's probably 3 or 4 horses there that you can see are going to really rise to the occasion next year, and really enjoying putting the yearlings through their paces at the moment too. I really missed that aspect of it, being based in Singapore, but no, everything's going really well, and we've just got some good quality staff there, a lot of young people that are eager to learn as well, so looking forward to the future.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for joining us here this morning on Wayne. Good luck with Andre Vieira coming up this Saturday at Doomben.
Thanks, guys.
That's Mark Walker, and of course, be remiss of us not to mention, Matt, Jamie Richards leaves the country this Friday, so while he's had a decent break since he stopped training, a pretty seamless transition from Jamie back to Mark at Te Akau. Very lucky for the owners and all the people involved that you have that quality replacing that quality.
And I guess the negative for everyone taking on the Te Akau team now is that you've had the Mark Walker base, you've had Jamie Richards come in and improve the setup to what he did, and then Mark Walker coming back with his views from Singapore. That's a dangerous combination for trainers who are looking to take them on in all of the Group 1s next year. So exciting times for Te Akau, and Lord Cosmos and the team obviously flying the flag over the weekend. So it's the game that never sleeps, and they're always amongst it. Yeah,
well, especially when you've got 2-year-olds like Dynastic at home and Maven Bell at home and those sort of horses, and this may be your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th best 2-year-old. It's hard to work out, but as you mentioned, he could be a Guineas horse.
Well, so much can change.
Well, exactly. Well, they've got, if you had a Guineas market right now, Dynastic would be the favourite for that, and Maven Bell would be the fillies' favourite. So.
Well, Novia ran 37 lengths last in that 2-year-old race last year, and then it just shows how much can change.
He improved about 40 lengths then.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about a horse who loves Te Rapa, and we saw this mare make it 4 out of 6. Here is Tavira taking out the big sprint in the Ballymore colours, and look, this horse has been here 6 times, 4 wins, doesn't seem to like travelling. We'll find out more from co-trainer Pam Gerard after this victory, the second on the card, the Open Sprint at Tarapa.
Made the lead for Mega Bourbon, who's trying to rally, running on late Master Park with also there Helena Baby, but Tavira, she's going to get the win. Tavira, she had to work for it because Mega Bourbon was game and defeat, third over. We've got Helena Baby and right with it also Master Park.
Look, she's just a really good mare.
Yeah, I've said all along she was, and we're just still learning with her a wee bit. But yeah, back on her home turf, and she'll go for a spell now.
Okay, what's the plans for next season? Is she a horse we're going to see as a railway horse, Pam, or do you think she'll extend out further?
I said that earlier on this season. I just said I thought she was an out-and-out sprinter. I'm still not sure what she wants to be. She's quite moody, so it sort of depends on what kind of mood she's in. And we took her down to Our Pony, and we probably just didn't quite get it right. But we had to try Travelina. She's got to learn. And I think she did learn a lot from it. We just freshened her up when she came back to a sprint distance. And I know she'll get over 14 a mile, but it's just she's mentally got to settle down and do things right.
She's owned by one of New Zealand's more popular breeders in Gordon Cunningham. Do you think at some stage he's going to want to post her across to Mike to maybe sneak some black type over there in Australia because it's worth so much?
You'll have to ask him that. I'll just keep going. But, we know she's got the ability. But as I said, a trip to Our Pony was just enough for us. So she's still got a little bit to learn. Ability-wise, she's got it all there. But once again, the travel and who knows?
One of the more exciting sprinty mares in the country and so much to look forward to with Tavira for next season. Mega Bourbon was good in second. Great to see Helena Baby back in the country. He's very grey these days after his time in Hong Kong, but Big John Bell was loving having his old mate back there. So I think he's a horse, once the tracks get wet, Matt's going to have a pretty good winter.
Yeah, well, he just hated Hong Kong. Clearly his record suggesting that, and you're right, once he gets his toe into the ground, he was still very good. He was giving away 5 kilos to the 2 horses that beat him home, and then he was giving away 10 kilos to Master Park, who is very good along the inside. But George Simon hit the nail on the head at the 600 with the winner Tavira. It just always travelled up so beautifully, and the tempo of the race up front certainly suited, and she let down like a very willing mare for a man who's in form. Michael McNabb, everything he seems to be touching at the moment just seems to be winning, and I guess that's the case with jockeys, isn't it? Momentum is absolutely key, and he's a man that is full of it at the moment and a really handy horse going forward. And I think she's been well enough placed, Tavira, that there's probably a nice race in her somewhere along the way.
All these races like the Counties Bowl and those type of races which are going to suit her. Her dam actually won the Counties Bowl, so those type of races are going to be ideal for her because she's going to come in a light place in the weights, and then you start talking about railways. But you mentioned Michael McNabb, and he is on a bit of a tear at the moment. That continued with Osaka in the Open Mile. Here's a horse good enough to go to Australia in the spring. Stephen Marsh had a big day at the office. Here is Osaka taking out the wig, Noel Wilson Memorial.
Down the outside here, then followed by On the Rocks and Sheriff, further back Red Hussar, Macedo in front. Osaka's coming after strongly on the outside, now the favourite, and behind them Germanicus and out wide Red Hussar. Osaka made the lead short of the line, he's home the favourite. Osaka won it from Macedo, third Red Hussar, fourth I think
Sixth win from start number 17 for Osaka. As mentioned, a good day for Stephen Marsh, but it's been a great season for the man on top. That is Michael McNabb. Let's see his thoughts on how it's all going and, of course, on winning that first ever premiership. Well, Nab, I was talking to your good mate Craig Grills, and he tells me you're over the line in the premiership. So are you as confident as he is?
No, he's talking rubbish. He wants it just as much as I do because I know he does. If he could get close, he'll be... If he has a good day, he wants it just as much as I do. I know that.
Most meetings you're going to, you're picking up your win or win or two. That's obviously going to help keep him at bay, or him and Lisa. How confident are you now that you've got the right sort of stock around you and the right sort of mindset to get the job done?
Well, I got the right mindset. A couple of weeks ago I thought I was running out of horses a little bit. I've got a really nice book here today, but coming into the winter months, it's hard. Like I had a really good winter last year, which was a first for a long time. But hopefully, I've got good stables backing me, so they've always got plenty of horses.
Now most of the black type races are out of the way, so you have to concentrate on something else. How determined and how driven are you by this premiership? Because a lot of guys and girls ride for a long time and never get a shot at it.
Very determined, because as you said, this might be a once-off thing. Like this might never come again. So You have to make the most of your opportunities, and sort of that's what I've been doing, and that's put me in this spot. So motivation's massive, big.
You look healthy. How's the weight?
It's all right. I probably don't look as healthy today on race day because I had to pull off a bit of weight this morning. It's all right. I've been riding 55. I probably could have ridden 54.5 today if I needed to. But it's where it needs to be, but it's just maintaining it and being very cautious now because it's getting colder.
Okay, now, but let's talk about travel and the possibility, say, next week at Wanganui or down in the South Island. If somebody thought, look, I've got a really good book of horses in this week, would Michael McNabb come ride them? Is that something that's on the cards yet, or you're not willing to be travelling just yet because you want to keep that mental freshness?
Oh, look, if someone rang and said they got, of course, I'll ride if someone rings me, but the boss A-Rod rang this morning and said he's comfortable with where we're at, so next week I'll be just doing what I've been doing at this stage, and I think he's just going to assess it week by week to see where I need to be, or if I need to take extra meetings, or what we need to do. He's sort of in charge of that. I'm just in charge of turning up to where he sends me.
Michael McNabb was $1.15 to win the Jockeys Premiership this time last week. He's near $1.08. And look, Matt, I think a lot of people like Michael McNabb. He's a different type of character, an extremely talented rider. I don't think anybody would begrudge him winning his first national premiership.
He can really embrace the highs of racing, can't he, Michael McNabb? And he's got the right man in Aidan Rodley looking after him as well. I know Aidan's a good friend of ours, but Aidan's experienced in working out what needs to happen for jockeys to perform at the highest level. You've got discipline, you've got the mental health of the jockeys, you've got physical health, and like we all get tired in our brains, so that balance is very important when you're going to try and chase a premiership at such an elite level, and we don't often see jockeys stringing them together year after year because it is so tough. But good on him, and he rode that horse a treat as well, summed it up perfect at the start.
He's got a big lead over Craig Grills, and Lisa Allpress is just behind him. Tina Komanyagi doing a massive job to stay on their tails. But with the weeks starting to fall by now, unless Craig Grills can have a 3 or a 4 or a 5 week where he gets that many and Michael gets none, or Lisa or even Tina can pull that off, it's very hard to see them getting inside 10 of Michael McNabb. And I think if that happens, Michael will start to travel. So, look, it's great to have a jockey's premiership battle, but I think...
Not quite a battle, is it?
No, he's almost home, isn't he, unless he gets suspended. Yeah. And he's in the really good place, is Michael McNabb. From a guy who's winning a lot of races to a young lady who maybe you haven't heard too much about. Let's go back to a first win. We love a first win here on Way. And this is Ruakaka last week. Tazimoto doing the job for Kelsey Hannan. Many of you may not have heard of Kelsey Hannan before. The people in the north who know about these things are telling me she can ride, so we thought we would find out some more. And if you haven't heard of her, well, after this, you probably won't forget her in a hurry.
Late, it's Tazimoto and Kelsey Hannan. She'll get her first winning ride, and that's a lovely win. Tazimoto got their Vegas trip second, third over photos.
Well, Kelsey, you got your first winner. How did that feel?
Oh, it's pretty cool. It was a pretty emotional win, to be honest. It meant quite a bit at my home track. The first time my family's seen me ride, and I've ridden that horse since he was young, so it was really awesome.
This is a rare story. You come from a non-racing family, but you wanted to be a jockey from when you were little. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I always had a bit of an obsession for horses and going fast. I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, so I don't know, seeing it on the TV, and I just wanted to do it.
So you were watching racing at grandma's or mum and dad's, and you thought, that's a bit of me.
Yeah, but never really put anything into action. Rode a couple hacks here and there with my cousin, did some pony club, some shows, some hunting. Yeah, not really much until a couple of years ago.
So how did you go from that to race-winning jockey?
Kenny Ray offered me a job, and I asked him if he'd put me through an apprenticeship, and he told me he would, and yeah, I found it really different from riding hacks, moving on to racehorses. Kind of moved down here to get into the big pond, and get a bit of exposure.
All right, so Sean and Craig Phelan looking after you now, and obviously you've got good people and good horses around you. How are you enjoying the life as an apprentice jockey?
Yeah, love it. It's awesome, yeah.
Okay, the nose ring. We don't see the nose ring very often at the races, and you told me that some of the people said you shouldn't have a nose ring when you're a jockey, but you're like, nah, you're you.
Yeah. I should take it out, because if I do fall or it gets caught in here, then it's going to be a bit of a mess. But I like it.
All right, let's talk about goals, because you seem a young lady who's very driven. What do you want to do with this racing career you've just started?
Travel. I want to ride overseas and just get as big as I can. To be honest, I want to ride in the Melbourne Cup, to win the Melbourne Cup, but got to ride in it first.
We're going to play this interview in about 5 or 10 years, or maybe 20 years, when you win the Melbourne Cup, and I hope you still got the nose ring.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
Kelsey Hannan, a breath of fresh air in the northern ranks. And isn't it great, Matt, when whether it's a trainer or a jockey has their first win, it's something you can celebrate. And it is nice to meet new people. We come across so many of the same people at the races. A breath of fresh air, that young lady.
Brilliant. There was a lot of good things about that scenario. Firstly, the ride. So the horse wasn't initially all that fast away, and then she hunted through them and lobbed the 1-1 somehow. Shunted something out of the way at the 600 metres. She's got incredibly good balance. The stick will come. She can talk on television, which, you know what, to me, Michael, being able to promote yourself like that, you're halfway there if you can do that. She's got this confident aura around her. She knows where she wants to go. How often when you say to people, where do you want to go, they go, oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'll just go wherever. She knows where she wants to go.
I thought
She's got the right people behind her. I like it.
I thought she was going to say to me, I want to win the Ruakaka Cup. No, I want to win the Melbourne Cup. Well, that's gold. We love it. We're looking forward to seeing that the race toward the Melbourne Cup goes to Kelsey, and well done to her, and also to those people mentoring her through. Noel Harris pulled me aside and said, you've got to meet this young lady. She's confident. Showed me a text from Bob Vance he'd sent to Noel, who's of course the boss of the apprentices, where he'd said, tell Kelsey that was a great ride on a horse you got beaten on a couple of weeks ago. So good people saying good things about a nice young lady. Something we know a bit more of in racing is this fella. His name is Zaki. He went to the Holindale Cup and backed up his win in the race last year. It wasn't quite as easy as maybe we thought it could be. Coventina Bay, the Taranaki mare, very, very good in 5th. And another of our old sweethearts, Polly Gray, doing a massive job for 2nd. But here he is, the machine, Zaki on the Gold Coast.
Length and a half, trying hard as Kookarancha. Polly Gray the next one, but in front Zaki near the line from Polly Gray. Zaki's in front, Zaki's done it again. Zaki by 3/4, 2nd Polly Gray.
What do I know? What do I know? I can't seem to ease my mind. Memories lost behind, lost without you. The things we used to do. I can't seem to ease my mind.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
They turn for home, and the face in front from Trumbull, prime candidate, Go Spottin', then Constant Flight, Majestic Shots getting a gap between them, running on. It's the face wandering from Go Spottin'. Blondo's getting a rails run. Blondo and Go Spottin'. Blondo, Go Spottin'. Blondo wins the takeover target, beat Go Spottin'. And a 3rd, Majestic Shot.
Good performance there from Go Spot, and unfortunately beaten by the railer for trainer Jim Pender. That was the takeover target coming out of Gosford. Earlier in the program, we also had Moroney finishing 6th in the Gosford Cup. Just looked a peak on his run the last 300. The other colours, of course, of Melliston. He was going to be racing in the Coast at the same meeting, but he got a virus in Sydney. He'll be returning home this week. So Melliston, no luck. Gospodin doing the same, owners very proud. Okay, heading down to Riccarton, where we had a huge day on Saturday, backing up after the day on Thursday. And the feature, one of the features of the day, was the Great Easter, and it was a total and utter triumph for Lance Robinson, but also for Kavish Chowdhury. We'll hear from both after the feature of the day.
Scarfy, Kaimar War running on from Harbourside. Live Drama's gone to the lead, 200 to go. Scarfy after her from Street Fighting Man and Kaimar War. Live Drama inside the 100 metres, a length in front. Kaimar War charging late, but it's the Great Easter Stakes to Live Drama. Live Drama beat Kaimar War and Scarfy.
Lance, I reckon she deserved that.
I thought so, Greg. You know, her form all season's been outstanding. She's carried big weights and good company, and she really deserved that win today, I thought.
Beautifully ridden by Kavish Chowdhury, getting his first stakes winner. That's something that I know you'll have great affinity with, because as a rider, that's what you strive for.
That's what it's all about, Greg. And I said to him before the race, I says, you know, the key to this race is being able to get her to relax, put her to sleep, and she's the best horse in the field, I felt. So, and it was a 10 out of 10 ride. He rode it perfect.
And extra special for you, of course, because you've picked up the Quinella with Kaimar War. So you're two stars, stable stars, sprinting stars, going head-to-head and running 1-2.
Yeah, well, I'm very, very proud of both horses. They went terrific. Yeah, no, and Kaimar War, you know, he carried the top weight today, 60 kilos, so, you know, my hat's off to him too. He went terrific.
All right, what happens now? This was obviously a pretty big target, so what do you do with him?
Oh, look, I don't know, Greg. I have to go home and rethink and try and work a few things out. But I'm pretty sure Live Drama will go to the paddock now. She's done all she needs to do this season. And I'll discuss it over with the owners and we'll make a few plans for next season, what we're going to do with her. But I'll just leave it up to the owners and we'll have a good talk to them.
Congratulations, Kavish. This horse very unlucky last time.
Nah, thank you very much. Yeah, she was very unlucky last start. She ran in the open 12. She just got behind runners with stopping and just could not quite get the run. But she dashed home late to run a good 5th, which was very encouraging going to a 1400 metre. Yep.
You dashed her on the inside. A lot of the winners today have come out wider on the track. I guess when you've got that sort of weight, you've got to take some shortcuts.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, she was not the flashiest out of the barrier. She came out half slow, then from there I saw there's no point rushing with a big weight, so I got behind Kaimar War. I know it's a pretty handy horse which was going to take me in a nice, it was going to give me a nice enough run. Got on behind her. Halfway through down the back, everyone was just going out wider, so I was like, I did not find no point. It was a big weight, 60.5 kilo going around him, so I just stuck on the fence. And the horse was, she basically done everything. She just threw me into it nicely and done it easy in the end. It was a good winner.
Riding a horse for a guy like Lance Robinson, you know they're going to be fit, you know they're going to be ready, and he just does a great job with them, doesn't he?
Definitely. I haven't been riding for Lance that much, but this season he's given me. We had a lot of success lately, and it's been really good. It's been really good, yeah.
Well, you've got yourself a stakes winner. Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Congratulations to Kavish on his first black type success, and Live Drama coming out of one of the form races of the entire season, Matt the Telegraph, which of course has produced Rockin' Horse, the Newmarket winner, Levante, we know, actually finished right alongside Entre Vieira in that race. So you hear that, you go, wow, why wouldn't it just win? But it's never easy to win those open sprints in the South Island.
Particularly when you get to 1400, and there was a lot of those horses in there, Michael, and you had a horse in there who was probably proven at 1400, but a lot of them were sprinters. So for Live Drama to find the line as well as what she did, being in that sort of ground, was a really strong effort. Very well deserved. Kavish is a very good jockey, almost approaching on 150 winners. The tough watch out of the race was Monza Sakito. Wasn't too much intent to go forward. I think there was an opportunity for the horse to potentially lead in the race, and she was proven at 1400, and she's rattled home down the outside. So that's probably a bit of a disappointment there for the owners. Kaimar War good under the big weight, and Scarfy was bold in behind as well. Look out for her getting back to 1200 metres. But I think the ratings told the story of the race, and the two top rated horses ran first and second from a very good stable. Lance was a good jockey, and he's got a good team of horses around him.
And a horse with lots of options. As you mentioned, can go from 1200 to 1400. You would think with that progression potentially as a mile horse for next year. There's a lot of races in the South Island at that grade, if in fact they don't head back to Trentham, where they've been a couple of times before. Talking about the north and Trentham, well, some of those a bit higher north came south for the Champagne Stakes. It's always one of the great chances for two-year-olds to get black type this time of the year, and Lisa Latta has exploited that 3 years ago. She's done the same here again. Here is This Is Dramatic, getting her black type success.
Now into the clear, wider out from Guitar Man. Chavot going to Redmond, then Kiki Mora. This Is Dramatic, Defiant still 3 lengths away. This Is Dramatic goes to Chavot and Redmond. It's This Is Dramatic, Redmond lifting, Chavot the inside. It's This Is Dramatic though for Go Racing. This Is Dramatic won the Champagne Stakes and beat home Redmond and Chavot.
This is dramatic. Mission accomplished.
Very much so, Greg. We brought her down here with this being the main target. I thought her run 2 weeks ago and the lead up was outstanding. I actually thought she was quite unlucky on that day. She just got a bad check at the right time. Whether she would have won that race or not, that's speculation, but yeah, job done today, mate. It's such a relief.
Got a beautiful run, tapping the back of Chavot, of course, the stablemate, and once presented, really found the line strongly, which going forward, that's a great thing.
Yeah, it is. I thought at the 300 she was a wee bit flat. I just thought she just sort of lost the back of the horse in front of her. But gee, that last 100 she was so strong, and Tina said she just got stronger. The further they went, she got stronger. She said, you know, going forward, she's a filly that can certainly get over more ground than that. But yeah, I just love the way the first day 2 weeks ago, when she got knocked over, to get up and run second, I thought was an outstanding performance. And then today, I always knew she was going to be strong late, and thankfully she was.
Of course, the only time she's missed a place was in the Karaka Million. Was this trip as much about a fact-finding mission for, I don't know, Canterbury Bell and then obviously into the Guineas? Is that what you guys are thinking?
Very much so, yeah. I think, and I've got to pay credit to Lisa Ladder. You know, we took her to Ellerslie for the Karaka Million after one start. She'd had the one win. It was an impressive win, so you don't know what you've got. So we had to throw at the stumps. It didn't work. And for Lisa to present the filly down here, run second 2 weeks ago and win today, normally after the Karaka Million, horses are flat and gone. So outstanding training performance, and you know, Lisa's she's a great trainer, but she's a really good person as well, and I'm thrilled for her.
Both of our feature 2-year-old winners over the weekend coming out of the Karaka Million, so great to see that form stacking up 3.5 months later. She went 1:09.6, so Matt, clearly a horse who can gallop a little bit, and great to hear from Matt Allnut there as the Go Racing juggernaut continues. They'll be looking to bring her back for the Guineas, but as Greg said, job done. She's got the black type now. That's a huge boost to her value.
Yeah, she was luckless the 2 weeks prior, wasn't she? They've also got 7-11, who's not a bad animal either, so a good little onslaught for them going towards the 3-year-old spring features. It was race over at the start for favourite backers with Defiant. Totally fell asleep coming out of the gates, and when you're on the back foot like that, running 109 and change on that sort of track, you're never a hope of picking them up. Still ran well to get as close as what she did. Defiant. Redmond continues to fly the flag for the sire Ghibellines. He's a very, very scopy horse going forward. Probably not a natural looking 2-year-old. He's quite a big, robust fellow. Chavot, very good, will improve, and Defiant finding the line. You can't take anything away from her ability, but it's just awfully hard when you miss the kick like that, and everybody else has got that sort of first 200 metres being on the front foot while you're chasing just takes the stuffing out of them a wee bit. But look, they deserve every bit of success they get, the Go Racing team, and they had a pretty good 45 minutes with Stardome not long after that, picking up the Gold Coast Cup.
Well, as Greg was interviewing Matt about that, Stardome was winning the Gold Coast Cup, which is why we didn't mention it with Matt, because both things going on at the same time. So they are having a huge season. Go Racing. By the way, the mare, our drama queen, who's a Cambridge studbred mare, has since gone to Purincanto and El Manzor. So here's a family who, with that blood behind it now, group race winning blood, is getting a real boost, and should be a bit of fun come sales time for them, two of our leading stallions. Okay, Tappy's Lad is a horse who took an awfully long time to leave maidens, but seems to have got his head around this whole winning thing now. Here is the closing stages of the Great Autumn Handicap to cap a big day, early in the day, for Team Taplin.
Beneficial going after Volvic. Tappy's Lad a length away. D&G running on to the far side. Tappy's Lad coming out and after Beneficial, who struck the lead on the outside of Volvic. Volvic, Beneficial, Tappy's Lad. Tappy's Lad has loomed up. Oh, he's a real star stayer in the making, this one. Tappy's Lad has beaten Beneficial.
Well, Isla Bank's just not going to be the same, is it?
No, it's not.
Big changes coming up for you guys heading over to Queensland, and what a great way to sign off at Riccarton Park with a couple of winners.
I know, it was great to see, and the team's going well, so a good time to head over.
Talk more about those winners in a moment. What about this move, and how long has it been in the making?
Well, we've been looking at it for 5 to 6 years now, and and the whole family have been over, and we sussed the place out for a while now, and we fell in love with Queensland. So initially, that's what we wanted to do, was move over and change your lifestyle and enjoy racing.
All right. We're talking Caloundra, or not far out of there. What sort of property have you been looking at, and what's the plan around the horses? Are you taking the majority of the ones you've got now from here?
Yeah, most of the ones in work at the minute that have stepped up are definitely going, and I've got some real loyal owners and they've decided to keep theirs and go with me, so which is fantastic. And we've got a lot of brood mares as well that are in foal, so we want to send them over and carry on breeding as well.
All right, the two winners here today, Tappy's Lad. 27 starts to grab a maiden, you line up in the Great Easter and get the business done. That doesn't happen too often.
No, but he was the type of horse, I know he took a while to win a maiden, but I thought once he won a race, he knew what it was about, and the way he won the other day, I thought, well, you got to step him up and go over ground. But the only concern today was a good track, but he showed that he can do it, and we'll have a lot of fun with him.
Yeah, look, he ate up the ground. I'm thinking Caloundra Cups and those sorts of things, because I know that might have been far-fetched a couple of starts back, but just kept finding the line.
Yeah, no, definitely look for some nice staying races over there, and there's plenty to choose from, so yeah.
And what about Maxi Tap? Yeah, was that a surprise today, or were you pretty confident?
No, he's a nice horse, but he's been real hard to get a line on, and we thought he'd win, some nice guinea races, and he's still only 3 now, but yeah, he's just taken a wee bit to come right, and we thought he was just a wet tracker, but we changed our mind and brought him up here on a good track, and yeah, he showed class.
All right, the class last season, of course, and the find really Tappy's won. What a thrill it's been to have that horse racing in the South Island, and how far did he come?
Yeah, no, he's a fantastic horse, and he's definitely going with us. He's taken a few runs this time around to come right, and yeah, he's got another race at Riverton, and we're just using it as a trial run before heading over to Queensland with him. But he wants some wet tracks and ground, so yeah, we'll go hunting.
Well, for you and Ian, it's a great way to sign off, at a feature meeting at Riccarton Park. Your colours have been well sought after by the punters over the years, and I'm sure they will be now in Queensland around the Caloundra region, and yeah, we wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much.
It's a big loss for Southern Racing, and of course Robert Dennis is also stepping away, Matt, from the training regime, so it's not ideal. It's far less than ideal, particularly for the Deep South.
Yeah, that's the tough part. And then you've got Kelvin and Amy Tyler, who have taken an onslaught of horses to Queensland as well in search of the riches. If you had said to me 3 weeks ago that I'd be calling Tappy's Lad a very good stayer, I would have laughed you out of the building, to be quite honest. But his win at Timaru was good. It was against maidens. It's always hard in a Timaru maiden over 2,200 metres to gauge where a horse is at. But he's run past open handicappers over 2,500 metres. Gee, I'd love to see him over 2 mile. Tappy's won, obviously did a very good job. Looking forward to seeing what he can do over there, as long as they can find the right sort of races for him. Could be in a bit of a tricky spot at the weights, courtesy of his record, but good on them. They're taking the plunge. I guess they're at that point in their careers and lives now where they've got plenty of options, so good luck to them. I hope it works out well.
Great to have Greg O'Connor on track for us at Riccarton, and Emily Morgan, our camera lady, to take care of the business here and tell some of these wonderful stories. We'll take a break here on Way and come back on the other side and have a deep dive into the struggling jumps racing industry.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Winter means jumps racing season has begun, albeit with a stutter start at Te Rapa on Saturday. We had the first hurdle race of 2022, and it was taken out on the inside by Ginger 2. Not a great result for favourite backers, as He's Rick looked to be home at the 400. It wasn't the case, but we have a lot to discuss after the first hurdle of the new racing season.
In again now, down towards the last they come. He's Rick and Ginger 2. He's Rick and Ginger 2. They're going to fight it out. In third spot is Eon. Ginger 2's coming back at He's Rick. Ginger 2 got there for Gary Walsh from He's Rick.
So there were 8 acceptors for that race. Only 6 went to the post. Yes, the tracks are unseasonably dry at the moment, although well irrigated at Te Rapa. The problem was they couldn't find enough jockeys for all the horses. We went to speak to 2 of the top jockeys in New Zealand jumps racing to find out what we can do about that. Well, Sean, first jumping ride of the season's out of the way. A bit out of breath, but it's a long season ahead.
It's definitely nice. Good to blow the cobwebs out and good to get around safely.
We are struggling for numbers here today with the very dry track and numbers of jockeys. How are things looking in the CD for the jumpers? I know there's a point-to-point at Levin on Tuesday. Are you expecting big numbers there?
Yes, I think there's definitely the numbers there. I'd probably expect 40 to 50 horses probably turn up on Tuesday, but obviously with the weather around the whole countryside, it's been very dry, and like what I've seen at home, what I've been schooling at, there's plenty of horses there just probably waiting for a bit of moisture around, but at the same time we do need riders, and as seen today, probably lacking a few that have that need to front up and to keep the game going.
Okay, so NZTR's now putting the money there, and you're telling me there's enough horses. What's the problem with the riders? Is it just not enough money or regular rides in it, Sean, to keep people interested?
I think with the increase in prize money, there definitely has to be money. And I mean, racing for $30,000 today, equivalent to open handicaps and Saturday grade races. So I definitely think the boost in prize money, there is the incentive to actually have a jumper and for riders to actually turn up and ride them. But maybe due that riders have their own jobs as well. They're probably not involved with a full-time jumping stable, and maybe the lack of people actually teaching them to jump properly and trying to support those riders to come out and school them, and the riders actually putting their foot forward and offering to come out and school them. So a mixture of different things, but I think from what I've seen, there's everything there to actually have a go, and it should be successful if done properly.
Do you think there are more people who could get involved if they had a mentor or a trainer or somebody to help them take those first steps to becoming a jumps rider?
Oh, definitely. I think anyone can jump a horse. I mean, teaching them jump slow, and I mean, you'll find that person starts to teach a horse to jump, they get a bit of confidence out of that horse, and they're quite happy to take the next step up and do a little bit more. But yeah, I've seen anyone can teach a horse to jump. They've just got to be instructed how to do it properly and sort of get a bit of confidence with the horse.
Is it concerning for a guy like you who is at the top echelon of New Zealand jumps riding about that lack of other riders coming through and therefore making the racing sustainable?
It is concerning, definitely. I think for anyone that's been in the game for a while, it's definitely concerning. There's no bigger thrill than riding a good jumper and winning a big jumps race. So, you'd never compare that thrill to anything else. And I think definitely with the increase in prize money, I mean, there's huge incentive to give it a go, and it is very rewarding.
Well, Sean, we spoke to Sean Fanning before, and he said for you leading riders over the jumps, it's worrying signs about not having enough rival riders.
Yeah, it's obviously we're lacking riders at the moment. You can blame a few things, obviously COVID would have a lot to do with it too, because in years gone past we've had the visiting jockeys from the UK and they obviously can't get out here. I know we are trying to find some to get over here now that you can do it, but like for instance a guy like Will Gordon, he came here a couple of years ago and now he's the next Johnny Allen in Australia. So I think if we can maybe promote something to the overseas to get some over, or if there is some couple of young sort of riders around New Zealand that want to have a go at it, I think it's an awesome career, and it's definitely takes you places that you wouldn't believe.
Okay, so you're at the high levels of jumps riding yourself, but you're also a trainer of flat horses. Do you think there's room for more horses who maybe are struggling on the flat to go to jump stables or to come to you? Or do you think a lot of people, there's a mystique about jumping which there doesn't need to be?
Yeah, maybe. Definitely we've got the right breeding, haven't we? So, for example, a horse that's won 2 or 3 on the flat and it might be just battling away, a trainer or an owner could come to myself or Sean Fannan or anyone, that's a jumps jockey and say, look, can you jump this horse for me? Tell me what you think. Is it worth persevering? Then, there are 20 grand races here in New Zealand now over the jumps. So, it's not many horses that can race around for 20 grand, is there? They've only won 2 or 3 races. And then you've also got the aspects of you could sell your jumper to Australia. They're screaming out for the New Zealand bred horses for jumping races, and there's good money in that as well. So it actually gives these horses another lease of life.
Sean, is it worth saving jumps racing in New Zealand, in your belief, when you take into account the fact that it extends horses racing careers, it brings staff on board who are very useful trials or track work riders? Is it worth doing?
Oh, 100%. Look at the people in the game that are doing jumps. They're horsemen. It'd be like saying, look at a guy like Kieran Maher in Australia. He was originally a jumps jockey, jumps trainer. Look what he is now. You know, it's an opportunity to get people into the game, and it's a different breed of you know, the horse people that do it. They've, you know, jumps racing is a different fraternity. You know, no disrespect to the flat racing that, but jump racing people, they're a different breed. You know, and hopefully we can build it back up this year.
Well, as a dyed-in-the-wool jumps passionate man, not having outside of the Grand National any jumps racing in the South Island, probably hurt a wee bit.
It's a shame, Greg, but it's slightly died a natural death. We had the cost of training a jumper, let alone flying North Island jockeys down with no depth there, jockeys. So, yeah, it's sad, but it's always going to happen.
Is it as much about not having the riders to be able to ride them during the week, or not breeding them perhaps to be jumpers anymore, or is it a combination of that, or is it also a lack of, I suppose, skilled trainers to be able to train the jumpers?
I wouldn't say lack of skill from the trainers, but flying jockeys down, as I say, it's a lot of cost, and no one down here to school them as such. It's hard to educate them if you haven't got jumps riders, as in the past. We had a lot of depth, be 10, 12 jumps jockeys down here, but that's gone. So basically, that's what's happened. Yeah.
Great carnivals like Riverton, where you've had huge success, 3 Great Westerns I know in the bank for you. To not have those anymore the history's over.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. We've probably seen the best of it in the South Island to boot. There's no jumps racing in the South Island other than the Grand National week here. It's sad to say, but it's dying a natural death in the South Island.
What about the future of the National? Because surely if we're bringing all of the horses and riders and trainers essentially down from the North Island, they can't all get money. So do you fear for the future of it down here as well?
Oh, dead right, Greg. When you've got a ride on the North Island that's coming down here to support our meeting, we've got no one down here. It's a sad state of affairs, but it is what it is.
You had Ringbolt last year. Do you have anything in the stable this year that you thought might be able to make it as a jumper? And therefore, what do you do if you have?
Well, basically, it is a waste of time having a jumper or so-called jumper down here now. You've got to send it up north, a lot of cost. So basically, I haven't entertained the idea anymore. I'm concentrating on the flat horse now, as it is.
Pretty sad, isn't it?
It is. You come in the winter, you get crowds watching jumpers going around. Now we're looking at a heavy 10, watching these slow maidens go around, 20 to the furlong. It's not a good look, but it's out of my hands.
Challenging times for the jumps racing industry. There's a lot of money involved in jumps racing still to go this season. Let's look at the feature races you could potentially be watching, and this is only the features. We have big carnivals at Awapuni. Hastings has the McGregor Grant this year in the KS Brown Hurdle. Then we have Te Rapa, Hastings go back again, Wellington. The carnival at Riccarton, 6, 10 and 13. Now, this is interesting. The Grand National Hurdle on the middle day will be on the grass, obviously, but the flat races at that meeting on the synthetic, and then the Pakuranga Hunt and the Great Northern at Te Rapa, with Wanganui having a jumps day on October the 2nd. Also a very strong amateur rider series culminating in the Gloucester Cup. And Matt, I want to see jumps racing continue. I think it's crucially important to retain staff or get staff into the country. I think if you ring some guy or contact them on Facebook or some girl in England or Ireland and say, come to New Zealand, ride at my stable. If they're a jumps rider and they have an option to race ride, yeah, maybe the answer's yes. I think if they hear there's no jumps racing anymore in New Zealand, the answer's probably no.
And I think New Zealand racing as a whole in any code has always been a great source for things overseas, no matter what it is. And jumps jockeys are part of that. Aaron Kuru, Will Gordon have both been taken overseas and performed at the highest level. So,
as has Hebe Wright, the horse who won the big race at Warrnambool last week. We've got the talent.
Exactly.
And the money's there from NZTR.
What needs to happen, though? What is it? Is it a money thing? Is it incentives?
3 years is this, from the Masara report, is that smaller entities can change faster than the National Code. The National Code have done their bit here. They have said, we will support this with these races. But if you want to make changes like Ellerslie and Pukekohe did, you have to make them at the smaller level, say, we're actually going to do this. And I think the jumps trainers or the jumps riders need to actively source those riders from overseas, or we need to say, let's find some sponsorship to get these flights going between the two islands. I don't know a lot of things in racing are definite because things are changing so quickly and so fluid, Matt. I know this from the bottom of my heart. If we lose jumps racing in this country, we will regret it for a century later, because we will have predominantly boring winter racing without the chance to bring those staff in. I reckon we've got to try and save it.
So we've lost Ellerslie. We've lost the hill pretty much.
Which is okay because it's been replaced by something else.
It's still that little bit of history though taken away from us. How sad would it be if we ever lost a Grand National meeting because we didn't have the numbers or people didn't want to support it? I can understand what you're saying. It would be an incredibly sad day if that ever happened.
Lives after racing or extending the life in racing is crucial. And one of the crucial things about that is some horses are slow, but they can jump. We breed a lot of horses who can jump. So we've got to have that possibility to extend them, but also to extend jockeys' careers. So many of our great track riders and trials riders and horse breakers want to be jumps racing people, Matt. I think NZTR is doing their bit, but we need a collective responsibility from sponsors, from those who love the game. Trotting, as opposed to pacing, was almost finished in Australia 10 years ago, but people got behind it and said, we don't want to lose this. And I think we need to put that sort of concentrated energy into saving jumps racing in this country. I think the money's there. We also need to find a war chest to make it happen.
Yeah, okay, and I guess also, you know, you look at it like if you are the best jumper in the country, then you just get nailed at the weights, don't you? So there's always that with the lack of numbers around.
But then again, like the chosen one doesn't have many races in New Zealand. You can be the best jumper in New Zealand, like Tally-Ho Twinkletoes, and still race in Australia and come back again. I think it's a really interesting conversation to have long term. We on this show are well behind jumps racing. Thank you for coming north, mate. It's been great to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's Matt Cross. Let's go out with the fairy tale story of the racing weekend. It is the Run for the Roses. One horse only got that run on Friday morning. Here is the 2022 Kentucky Derby.
And here comes Zandon now. Zandon's closing in quickly. Simplification is late on the scene. Tawny Portland Barber Road, final 16th of the Derby, and it's still epicenter. Zandon surging, and here comes Rich Strike down toward the inside. It's a wild finish in the Kentucky Derby, and on the wire, Rich Strike does it. Wow! A shocker in the Kentucky Derby. Epicenter ran second. Zandon was third. It's tight for fourth. Simplification